Poor farmer inherited a ruined chicken coop. The dog found his gift in an empty nest. The sun dipped low over the desolate fields, casting long shadows on the crumbling remains of a once vibrant chicken coop. Jacob, a weary farmer with calloused hands and a heart weighed down by despair, stood amidst the ruins, his loyal German shepherd Max by his side. The coop, inherited from a distant relative, was a haunting reminder of dreams turned to dust. Frustration knotted in his chest as he surveyed the wreckage, yet a flicker of hope still lingered in his eyes. As the wind whispered secrets through the cracked boards, Max's keen instincts kicked in. In the silence, the dog darted towards an empty nest, hidden deep within the chaos. What could lie within? Was it merely a forgotten remnant of the past, or something far more profound, a gift waiting to be uncovered? In that moment, the bond between man and dog held the promise of a new beginning. Evening light cast long shadows across the rugged terrain as Tom stood at the edge of the valley, his heart heavy like the distant thunder rumbling in the sky. Beside him, Max, his German shepherd, quivered slightly, sensing the tension in the air. As a hawk circled overhead, it mirrored Tom's swirling thoughts, memories of laughter now pivoted on the knife edge of regret. He recalled the last time he had felt truly free, roaming this land with his brother, their laughter echoing against the cliffs. Now, that joy felt like a distant echo, swallowed by the weight of loss and unspoken words. Tom tightened his grip on the rifle slung over his shoulder, but his gaze remained fixed on the horizon, where the sun dipped behind jagged peaks. With every passing minute, the impending storm mirrored the chaos in his mind. An ache pulsed in his chest, the remnants of a bond severed too soon. He had promised to protect his brother, yet here he was alone, wrestling with the ghosts of his past. Max nudged him gently, grounding him in the present, a loyal anchor in turbulent waters. Their connection was unspoken but deep, a silent pact forged in shared trials and the fierce loyalty of a companion. The first drops of rain fell, splattering on the dry ground, each sound echoing like uninvited memories surfacing one by one. The valley, usually vibrant and alive, turned somber under the grey shroud, much like Tom's heart. Shadows danced between the trees, and he sensed eyes watching him, or perhaps it was merely the remnants of his imagination. Doubt gnawed at him. Had he missed something crucial? A clue to unravel the mystery surrounding his brother's disappearance? The wind howled, whipping through the branches, urging him forward even as fear gripped his heart. In that moment of uncertainty, Tom felt the electric charge of resolve ignite within him. He needed answers, not just for himself, but for the brother he had failed. Max growled softly, as if sensing his master's determination. Together, they were a formidable duo, forged in trials and hardships, ready to face whatever lurked in the shadows. Every step on the damp earth became a testament to his resolve, a promise that the truth would not remain buried. With each breath, he steeled himself against the rising storm, knowing that only through the tempest would he find clarity. As thunder rumbled overhead, the landscape transformed, each droplet of rain washing away layers of doubt. The scent of wet earth filled the air, invigorating him with fresh purpose. Side by side with Max, he plunged into the heart of the valley, where secrets awaited beneath the surface. The journey would be long and fraught with peril, but for the first time he felt a flicker of hope igniting in the depths of his soul. The past may have haunted him, but he was no longer a prisoner of it. He was a man on a quest, ready to reclaim what had been lost. The wind howled against the weathered cabin, each gust a reminder of the land's indifference. Thomas stood by the window, his breath fogging the glass as he searched the horizon for the familiar silhouette of Raven, his loyal German shepherd. Shadows danced in the fading light, and anxiety clawed at his gut. The scent of pine and damp earth filled the air, but it was the bitter tang of something sinister that unsettled him. He hadn't spoken to his brother in years, yet the letter, delivered just yesterday, had ignited a firestorm of questions he could hardly bear. As he paced the room, the weight of their shared past pressed down like a yoke. Memories of their childhood flickered through his mind, intertwined with the echoes of laughter and the sharp sting of betrayal. He had always been the steady one, the one who held their family together after their father's sudden death. But the inheritance of their father's land had split them apart, like the cracks in the parched earth outside. Just thinking about Jacob's name sent a jolt of bitterness through him. What more could the man want after abandoning them all those years ago? Raven nudged Thomas with her muzzle, grounding him in the present. Her deep, intelligent eyes seemed to search his soul, urging him to let go of the past. He let out a shaky breath, crouching to scratch behind her ears. In moments like this, he wished they had never left the East, that the call of the frontier hadn't lured them into this wild isolation. But deep inside, he knew he had made his choices, and his loyalty to this land, and to Raven, was all that tethered him to the reality he now faced. The night settled in, thick and suffocating, wrapping around him like a shroud. Thomas could barely sleep, restless dreams overtaking him, twisting with images of Jacob's mocking smile and the hidden agenda that lurked beneath each word in the letter. As dawn painted the mountains in hues of gold, he discovered something new on the cabin table, an old, dust-covered journal belonging to his father. Heart-pounding, he opened it, unearthing long-buried secrets about their family that hinted at dark dealings and unanswered questions. With each page he turned, the puzzle pieces began to fit, revealing a neglected family legacy tarnished by greed and deception. The clues came together with disquieting clarity. A forgotten agreement, a hidden fortune, and a promise that was never fulfilled. The more he read, the more the past clawed its way into his present. Time was running short, and he could sense Jacob's approach. A reckoning was brewing on the horizon. As Raven growled low, sensing his rising tension, Thomas knew they had to confront the specters of their history before the shadows devoured them both. The sun dipped below the jagged peaks, casting long shadows across the valley as Thomas knelt beside his loyal companion Rex. The cool breeze rustled the tall grasses that swayed like whispers, their secrets lost to the evening air. Thomas's breath came in shallow bursts, his heart heavy with unspoken fears. The weight of the world rested on his shoulders, but Rex's amber eyes, sharp and soulful, anchored him. In that moment, as they shared a quiet communion, thoughts of the past haunted Thomas, a spectre of choices made, and the gnawing worry that the darkness might soon find them. As they trekked deeper into the woods, each crunch of fallen leaves echoed like a distant thunderclap, amplifying the tension between them. Thomas had never been one to shy away from danger, yet today felt different, almost electric. He caught sight of Rex's ears perk up, the dog's powerful body taut with anticipation. Then came a faint rustle ahead, followed by a chilling silence that swallowed the air. Thomas's pulse quickened, and instinct urged him to stay alert. The forest was alive, but something unnatural lurked within, waiting to reveal its secrets. A low growl rumbled from Rex's throat, slicing through the stillness like a knife. Thomas felt a prickling at the back of his neck. A sense of being watched gnawed at him. He pressed forward, heart thumping in his chest, scanning the underbrush for any sign of movement. Just then, a flash of white caught his eye, a piece of torn fabric fluttering from a thorny bush. He knelt to inspect it, fingers brushing the worn fibers, a shiver traveling up his spine. The fabric was familiar, a remnant from that fateful day, and dread pooled in his stomach as he realized they were not alone. With renewed urgency, they pushed onward, the shadows lengthening around them. The landscape changed, rocky outcrops looming like ancient sentinels, their presence both formidable and foreboding. Thomas glanced down at Rex, who was already scanning the terrain, instincts honed from years of companionship. Together, they were a formidable pair, but the silence pressed in around them, a heavy weight that seemed to stifle even the chirping of crickets. A distant cry echoed through the trees, chilling him to the bone. It was a reminder of the mysteries that lay ahead, darker than the night that enveloped them. As darkness shrouded the woods, Thomas felt the pull of the unknown, a magnetic force that drew him deeper into danger. He sensed that they were close to the truth, each step an unraveling thread leading them into the heart of the enigma. Rex nudged him gently, grounding him in the present, reminding him of their bond, a tether to sanity amid chaos. The air was thick with anticipation, and as they crossed into a clearing illuminated by the ghostly glow of the moon, Thomas braced himself for whatever lay ahead. In that moment, he knew that whatever awaited them, they would face it together, an unbreakable duo against the shadows of the past. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the weathered barn. The once vibrant rooster coop now stood in disarray, its splintered wood an unsettling silhouette against the dusty horizon. Jake's heart sank as he stepped closer, instinctively tightening his grip on the lead of his German shepherd, Duke. The air was thick with the scent of decay and neglect, a reminder of life once bustling within these walls. Broken fences lay scattered like forgotten dreams, and the eerie silence hung heavy, as if the land itself held its breath, awaiting his next move. Duke sniffed the ground, his ears perked as he caught a whiff of something unusual. Jake squatted beside him, fingers brushing against the torn remnants of chicken wire, the edges jagged and rusting. A few scattered feathers whispered of a struggle, their soft whiteness stark against the gritty floorboards. He could almost hear the frantic clucks of the hens, the chaos that had unfolded here. Shadows danced in the corners of his mind, weaving together tales of what might have happened. With each breath, the mystery deepened, wrapping him in a choking embrace of curiosity and dread. The further Jake explored, the more unsettling the evidence became. A shallow depression in the ground caught his attention, its depth suggesting something had been dragged away from the coop. He glanced back at Duke, whose growl rumbled softly in his chest. The dog's instincts were sharp. He could sense the fear hovering just beneath the surface. Jake felt it too, a gnawing apprehension that pulled at his gut, urging him to either uncover the truth or flee from its dark embrace. But he was a man forged by the frontier's unforgiving spirit. He wouldn't back down from this challenge. A rusted latch caught his eye, half open and forgotten, revealing a narrow passage towards the backside of the coop. With a deep breath, Jake pushed it aside, revealing a trove of scattered bones, some small, some conspicuously larger, perhaps belonging to a fowl but not exclusively. A knot tightened in his stomach, and he could hear the wind whistling through the gaps, its mournful sound echoing the grief of lives lost. He turned to Duke, whose intense gaze seemed to question, "What now?" Each moment stretched painfully, as if time itself were aware of the secrets lurking just out of sight. As Jake backed away, a sudden rustle in the underbrush made him whip around, heart racing. Duke barked, hair bristling along his spine, instinctively protective. Just beyond the shadows, a figure emerged, silhouetted against the dying light. The man's face was weary, eyes haunted with untold stories. The tension in the air shifted. Jake felt the weight of unasked questions between them. "You shouldn't be here," the man rasped, a tremor in his voice. Fear and curiosity collided within Jake, the mystery of the coop intertwining with the man before him, each holding a piece of a puzzle that could change everything. The sun hung like a leaden weight in the sky, scorching the earth as David knelt to sift the dry soil between his fingers. The parched land had become a cruel mistress, each handful a reminder of his toil, yet yielding nothing in return. His loyal companion Rex nudged his hand with a wet nose, sensing the frustration that boiled beneath David's stoic exterior. He sighed, the sound heavy with unspoken fears. The whispers of old men echoed in his mind, tales of drought and despair as he struggled to muster hope amidst the relentless heat. Every morning was a gamble. David would rise with the dawn, praying the clouds would loom heavy with rain, yet the sky remained obstinately clear. The townsfolk watched from afar, murmurs of sympathy following him like shadows as he trudged past their vibrant fields. Their glances pricked at him, reminders of his solitude and the unyielding grip of failure. Rex, ever vigilant, would trot beside him, sensing his master's disappointment. The dog's deep-set eyes held a knowing warmth, a bond that transcended words, even as David wrestled with feelings of inadequacy that churned within his chest. The crops had withered. The fields cracked like a broken mirror, reflecting his shattered dreams. David often found himself staring into the distance, imagining what could have been had the rains come. He could almost hear the soft rustling of wheat in a gentle breeze, or the laughter of children playing in the tall grass. Instead, he was met with a haunting silence, punctuated only by the occasional call of a distant bird. Each day felt heavier, as if the weight of the sky pressed down on his shoulders, threatening to crush him beneath its unyielding ferocity. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of despair, a stranger arrived at his gate. Clad in a weathered coat, the man exuded an air of secrets, his presence unsettling yet intriguing. David sensed a storm brewing, not in the skies, but within his own life. The man spoke of a neighboring farm, where whispers of hidden water sources stirred the air like an unquiet ghost. Curiosity battled with skepticism in David's heart, igniting the flicker of hope he had buried. Rex growled softly, sensing the tension, yet David's instincts urged him to listen. Perhaps this stranger held the key to salvation. That night, sleep eluded David, the stranger's words echoing in the stillness. The allure of the unknown beckoned, but so did the fears of failure that loomed larger than the night. As Rex lay curled at his feet, David's thoughts spiraled into the abyss of what-ifs, wondering if he had the courage to chase after a glimmer of hope. With the stars shimmering above like distant diamonds, he felt the weight of the world upon him and the silent promise of his loyal dog beside him. The dawn would come soon, and he knew he had to make a choice, either to face the darkness or step into the light, led by the steadfast loyalty of Rex and the tantalizing possibility of renewal. The sun dipped below the jagged peaks, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain, while Aaron tightened his grip on the worn leather strap of his backpack. Beside him, Rex, his loyal German shepherd, stood alert, his ears pricked up, scanning the underbrush for any sign of movement. Each step felt heavier than the last as they navigated the rugged landscape. The air was thick with anticipation, and a sense of urgency loomed over Aaron, an unshakable feeling that somewhere just out of reach lay a truth he needed to uncover. As twilight deepened, a chill settled in, wrapping itself around Aaron like a shroud. Memories flickered through his mind, the laughter of his children, the warmth of their small hands in his. He forced himself to focus, pushing the pain aside like the fallen leaves under his feet. Rex nudged his leg, a comforting presence in the haunting solitude, and Aaron knelt to scratch behind the dog's ears. The bond they shared was a fragile thread in a world that had unraveled, a reminder that they were not alone in this wilderness of despair. The journey had begun with a single clue, an old map hidden in the attic, its edges frail and yellowed with time. Each mark and scrawl had whispered promises of lost treasures and forgotten dreams. Driven by desperation, Aaron had followed the trail, each mile further cracking open the shell of his grief. As they approached a clearing, something flickered in the twilight. A glint of metal half buried among the rocks caught his eye. Heart pounding, he rushed forward, Rex bounding ahead, sensing the shift in their quest. With trembling fingers, Aaron unearthed the half-tarnished locket, a familiar shape that sent shockwaves through his heart. He opened it cautiously, revealing the faded photograph inside, his wife smiling, her eyes sparkling with life. The sight ignited a mixture of warmth and sorrow, memories flooding back like a rushing river. He could almost hear her laughter dancing on the wind, a haunting reminder of the hope he had thought lost. Rex sat beside him, as if sensing the weight of the moment, silently urging him to find the strength to move forward. Gaze locked on the locket, Aaron took a deep breath, the scent of pine and damp earth grounding him. The world had been aching, but in that instant, an ember of resolve flickered to life within him. He could not let grief swallow him whole. He had a purpose now. The search for his wife's legacy, her place in this world, would be the beacon guiding him home. With renewed determination he rose, the locket clutched tightly in his hand, and set off again. Rex by his side, both of them ready to confront whatever lay ahead. The sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold. As Jacob stood at the threshold of the old farmhouse, memories clung to the walls like dust, each room echoing laughter and the lively chatter of children who once filled it. His loyal German shepherd Rex sat close by, ears perked, sensing the weight of his master's sorrow. The porch swing, now still, creaked silently in the breeze, a ghost of past summers, where all the world had seemed full of promise. Each sigh of the wind seemed to whisper secrets of times long gone. Inside, the air felt thick with nostalgia. Jacob meandered through the narrow hallways, fingertips brushing against the faded photographs that lined the walls. There were childhood birthdays, camping trips, and family vacations captured in milky film, each moment frozen in time. The silence roared in contrast to the vibrant memories, filling the space with haunting echoes. Rex nudged him gently, grounding him in the present, but even his comforting presence could not fully dispel the loneliness that loomed large like shadows in the corners of the house. Jacob paused in the kid's old bedroom, the walls adorned with peeling paint and remnants of youthful dreams. A small, dusty toy soldier lay abandoned on the floor, the last testament of a boy who had once played hero in a world of imagination. He picked it up, a bittersweet smile tugging at his lips as the weight of loss wrapped around him like a heavy cloak. The laughter that once rang through these walls had dissolved into silence, leaving behind an emptiness that felt almost tangible. Rex cocked his head, sensing the shift in Jacob's mood, his own heart heavy with understanding. As darkness enveloped the house, Jacob lit a fire in the hearth, its flickering flames creating a warm glow that fought against the chill of the night. He settled into a worn armchair, Rex curled at his feet, and allowed himself to reflect on the choices made, the paths taken. A sharp knock at the door shattered the stillness, a sound foreign and sudden, sending a rush of adrenaline through him. Jacob exchanged a glance with Rex, who stood, hackles raised, alerting him to the intruder. The house he had once filled with joy now felt like a fortress under siege, each shadow dancing with uncertainty. Opening the door, Jacob found only the biting wind and a rustle of leaves in the moonlight. Confusion washed over him. He scanned the darkened yard, every instinct screaming caution. Yet on the porch, a crumpled piece of paper lay, soaked in rain. He picked it up, heart racing, and unfolded it with trembling hands. The hastily written note bore a single line: "I know what happened." The warmth of the fire behind him flickered like his resolve, and as Rex growled softly at an unseen presence, Jacob knew that the past had returned to the forefront, and nothing would ever be the same again. Under the pallid moonlight, tattered clouds drifted lazily, revealing a world cloaked in silence. Jonah and his steadfast German shepherd Rex crept through the dense underbrush, the air thick with the scent of pine and wet earth. With each footfall, twigs snapped beneath Jonah's worn boots, a reminder of the fragility of this tranquil night. Rex's ears perked up, his muscles taut with anticipation, eyes scanning the shadows. The weight of unspoken questions hung heavy in the air, a feeling that they were on the brink of discovering something that would change everything. An unexpected rustle stirred the stillness, causing Rex to growl low in his throat. Jonah's heart raced as he crouched low, scanning the clearing. The moon illuminated a shimmer in the bushes, a forgotten, rusted box half buried in the soil, its edges jagged and weathered. Jonah's fingers trembled as he brushed away the dirt, revealing ornate carvings that whispered of a time long past. Questions flooded his mind, propelling him forward. What secrets lay within? Why had it been hidden away, neglected in the embrace of nature? With steady resolve, Jonah pried open the box, its hinges creaking like a ghost from the past. Inside lay an assortment of faded photographs, brittle and crumbling, images of smiling faces captured in moments lost to time. But what caught his breath was the glint of something metallic nestled beneath them, a locket, its surface intricately etched with the initials M and J. A chill crept up Jonah's spine as he traced the letters, a haunting echo of his own family's history, long shrouded in shadows and half-remembered tales of lost love. Rex barked, breaking Jonah's reverie, and he turned to see the dog sniffing at a nearby tree, pawing at something buried in the fallen leaves. Jonah's pulse quickened as he moved to Rex's side, heart pounding. Beneath the layers of foliage lay a small, leather-bound diary, its pages yellowed with age. As he flipped it open, the words came alive, bursting forth like a torrent. Secrets spilled out, tales of betrayal, hidden treasures, and a love that transcended the bounds of life and death, intertwining Jonah's fate with long-forgotten lives. As the night deepened, Jonah felt the weight of generations pressing upon him. Each line of the diary whispered truths about his own struggle, love lost, promises broken, and the relentless pursuit of meaning. Rex stayed close, sensing the turmoil within Jonah, their bond a silent understanding in the face of overwhelming revelations. The forest, once a mere backdrop, now transformed into a sanctuary of discovery, holding the potential to unravel a past that echoed painfully. With the locket in one hand and the diary in the other, Jonah stood at the precipice of something profound, ready to confront the echoes of his lineage. A chill hung in the air as Caleb trudged through the dense underbrush, the fading light casting long shadows around him. His German shepherd Rex trotted closely by his side, ears perked and senses alert. Each snap of a twig underfoot sent a shiver down his spine. The wilderness had always been his refuge, but tonight it felt different, foreboding. A sense of urgency gripped him, like the tightening of a noose. Memories of his father's disappearance rushed back to him, igniting a fire in his chest. The truth lurked somewhere out there, and he was determined to uncover it. Rex suddenly halted, tail stiff, and let out a low growl, breaking Caleb's reverie. The dog's instincts kicked in, and Caleb felt his heart race. He scanned the area, every shadow weaving a story in the dim glow of the moonlight. Then a flash of white caught his eye, a scrap of paper, nearly camouflaged by the leaves. Kneeling down to retrieve it, he hesitated, knowing it could lead him closer to the answers he sought or deeper into danger. The ink was smudged but discernible, a name, a location, and a date. Caleb's breath caught in his throat, pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. With the note clenched tightly in his hand, he stood up, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavily on his shoulders. Rex sensed the shift in mood, inching closer, grounding him as he faced the overwhelming prospect of what lay ahead. The name on the paper, Samuel Carter, was familiar, whispers of a man rumored to have known too much about the disappearance. Caleb's gut twisted. He had spent years searching for answers, but now every instinct warned him that this path would lead to confrontations he wasn't prepared for. Yet there was no turning back. As he pressed deeper into the wilderness, the shadows thickened, and the wilderness took on an eerie quality. Each rustle of leaves and distant hoot of an owl echoed his unspoken fears. The familiar landscape now felt foreign, disorienting, as if it were a labyrinth designed to ensnare him. Rex padded forward, nudging his leg, sensing his companion's rising anxiety. Caleb reached down, scratching behind the dog's ears, taking comfort in the shared bond. They were partners in this treacherous dance, one soul tethered to another in relentless pursuit of a truth that burned like a beacon in the dark. Approaching the clearing, the moon illuminated a weathered cabin, Its windows darkened like hollow eyes. An oppressive silence enveloped him, and the shadows seemed to pulse with the weight of hidden secrets. Caleb's pulse quickened, and he felt the unmistakable pull of destiny urging him forward. Rex, ever vigilant, stood at attention, ready for whatever lay ahead. With the note clutched in his fist and a surge of determination coursing through his veins, Caleb stepped towards the door, heart thundering, driven by the flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, he'd finally find the answers that had eluded him for so long. The sun dipped low behind the mountains, casting long shadows over the dusty trail. Jacob knelt beside his loyal companion, a German shepherd named Rex, who sniffed the air with keen interest. The scent of pine mingled with something else, something acrid that twisted Jacob's stomach with unease. He glanced at Rex, who looked back with trusting eyes, as if assuring him they could face whatever lay ahead together. The bond they shared was forged in the crucible of hardship, a silent agreement that echoed in their every heartbeat, urging them forward even when doubt threatened to take hold. As the evening deepened, Jacob found himself lost in thought, memories of laughter and camaraderie with his late father swirling in his mind. Each memory seemed to weave a tapestry of shared dreams and untold secrets, of nights spent under starlit skies, whispering hopes into the vastness. Yet now he was alone, and the weight of his father's disappearance pressed down on him like an iron shroud. Rex nudged Jacob with his cold, wet nose, grounding him back in the moment. The dog's simple, unwavering presence offered a sense of solace, a reminder that not all connections were lost in the chaos of fate. A rustling sound pierced the stillness, a whisper of disturbance in the underbrush. Jacob's heart thundered as he instinctively called for Rex to stay close. The dog, ears perked and muscles tense, mirrored his unease. Together they crept toward the noise, every sense heightened. Jacob's breath quickened, the thrill of danger igniting a fire within him, but he kept his fear in check. Rex depended on him. As they rounded a bend, a glimmer of silver caught Jacob's eye, half buried beneath the fallen leaves. The sight of the object sent a shiver down his spine, a clue waiting to be unraveled. The discovery was a tarnished locket, intricately engraved with ornate designs that spoke of love and loss. Jacob's fingers trembled as he opened it to reveal two faces frozen in time, a woman and a child. A surge of emotions flooded his chest. Who were they? Were they connected to his father's fate? Rex sat beside him, his presence a steadying force amid the torrent of unanswered questions. Jacob couldn't shake the feeling that this locket held more than just memories. It was a key, an invitation to delve deeper into a mystery that had haunted his family for generations. As darkness enveloped the landscape, Jacob made a silent vow. The bond with Rex solidifying into an unbreakable promise. They would uncover the truth together, no matter how deeply buried it lay. With the locket tucked safely in his pocket, Jacob set his sights on the path ahead, each step fueled by determination and the unwavering loyalty of his canine companion. The unknown awaited them, but Jacob felt a flicker of hope ignite within. In this unforgiving frontier, where trust was as rare as water in the desert, he knew that the strongest bond could conquer the darkest of shadows. As the sun dipped below the jagged horizon, casting elongated shadows across the desolate landscape, Eli knelt beside the gnarled roots of an ancient oak. The air hung heavy with silence, broken only by the gentle rustle of leaves. His fingers brushed against the rough bark, and a chill crept along his spine. A low growl erupted beside him as Max, his loyal German shepherd, shifted uneasily. Something lingered just beyond the fading light, a presence that seemed to whisper through the branches, urging him to look deeper into the secrets buried within the earth. Each crack of a twig underfoot carried the weight of unspoken histories. Eli's heart raced as he unearthed a small rusted locket, its once brilliant sheen dulled by time. He turned it over in his palm, feeling the cold metal against his skin. A faded photograph slipped out, revealing a woman with haunting eyes that mirrored the desolation of the land. Eli's mind raced, memories flickering like shadows in the twilight. Who was she? What had happened to her? The locket felt like a tether, binding him to a story he was meant to uncover. Max whined, his deep brown eyes locked onto the tree line, where a flicker of movement caught Eli's attention. A figure draped in darkness slipped between the trees, almost ethereal as if woven from the very fabric of the night. Eli's breath caught in his throat. Was it the woman from the locket, or just a figment of his growing unease? Every instinct screamed at him to follow, yet something heavy clutched at his chest, anchoring him to the spot. Max's presence was a reminder that he was not alone, yet the weight of the unknown loomed larger than ever. The chase commenced, but with each step, the landscape became increasingly treacherous, the ground littered with jagged stones and tangled roots. Shadows danced, flitting across Eli's path like whispers of danger, urging him to turn back. Max barked in alarm, and Eli felt the tension thrumming in the air, thick as smoke. A distant crack of thunder rumbled, not just above, but within him, echoing his uncertainty. What if he was stumbling into a trap, a place where secrets were buried alongside the bones of forgotten souls? Yet the locket remained a beacon, pulling him forward. As the figure vanished into the inky night, Eli found himself standing at the edge of a clearing, a place where the moonlight pooled like liquid silver. There, he saw remnants of a fire, smoldering embers still warm with recent life. The scent of charred wood and something sweeter wafted around him, pulling memories from the depths of his mind. Warm nights spent under the stars, laughter shared with friends long gone. A single piece of parchment lay crumpled beside the embers, words scrawled hastily across its surface. Eli reached for it, and as he read, the tangled threads of mystery began to weave themselves into a tapestry of fate, binding him to the whispers of the past. The sun dipped low behind the jagged mountains, casting elongated shadows over the rugged terrain. Mark knelt beside the riverbank, his breath curling into the cool evening air. His German shepherd, Rex, sniffed the ground, ears perked, as if sensing something hidden in the gathering dusk. As Mark searched for remnants of the day's hunt, his fingers brushed against something smooth and cold. Curiosity sparked within him, and he dug deeper, revealing a large, speckled egg nestled in the mud, unlike anything he had ever seen. A chill brushed down his spine, urging him to look closer, to decipher the enigma before him. In the firelight that night, Mark examined the egg with a mix of fascination and dread. Its surface glimmered in hues of green and blue, like a mosaic that beckoned him to unravel its secrets. Rex lay close, watching Mark's every move, sensing the shift in his master's demeanor. Questions raced through his mind. What creature had laid such an egg, and where was its mother? The crackling flames reflected his racing thoughts, illuminating the fear thrumming within his chest. He felt the weight of the unknown pressing down, like shadows creeping closer in the dark. Hours passed, the camp's stillness only amplified by the rustling leaves and distant howl of wolves. A sinister hum seemed to emanate from the egg, resonating deep within Mark's soul, stirring something primal. He recalled old tales of ancient beasts that once roamed these woods, creatures of legend whispered about by the elders in town. What if this was a remnant of those myths? An icy shiver traveled down his spine as he imagined the horrors that could be unleashed. He clutched the egg tightly, feeling its warmth seep through his fingers, grounding him in a reality that felt increasingly tenuous. As the moon climbed higher, Mark made a decision. He couldn't simply abandon the egg, not when it had called to him so profoundly. He would keep it safe, but he couldn't shake the fear of the unknown consequences. Would he be playing guardian to something majestic or monstrous? Rex, sensing his unease, nuzzled against Mark's leg, a silent pact of loyalty and companionship. In that moment, Mark found solace in his dog's unwavering presence, a reminder that they would face whatever darkness lay ahead together as partners forged in trust. The the dawn broke, painting the sky in soft pastels. Yet an ominous weight settled in Mark's chest. He resolved to seek answers, to delve into the legends of old that had become mere whispers among the townsfolk. Armed with the egg and Rex at his side, he ventured into the depths of the forest, where ancient trees loomed like guardians of untold secrets. Each footfall echoed with uncertainty, the mystery heavy in the air. He felt the pull of destiny, a convergence of past and present that promised to uncover truths that had long remained buried beneath layers of myth and shadow. The wind howled through the desolate plains, a haunting melody that matched the pounding of Jake's heart. He knelt beside his loyal German shepherd, Axel, who sniffed the ground with fervent determination. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the cracked earth. With their supplies dwindling and the urgency of their mission pressing against them, Jake's mind raced. Somewhere out there lay the answer to the disappearance of his brother, buried beneath layers of deceit and desperation. Every moment spent searching was a step closer to both salvation and reckoning. As they pushed forward, the landscape grew wilder, untamed, mirroring the tumult within Jake's soul. Memories of laughter and warmth flickered like candles in the dark, tales of shared adventures now twisted by the dark cloud of his brother's fate. He could almost hear his brother's voice, beckoning him to brave the wild and find him. The gnawing doubt, nestled in the pit of his stomach, threatened to consume him. With his hand on Axel's collar, Jake felt anchored, the dog's unwavering loyalty reminding him that he was not alone in this battle against time. A rustle in the brush startled them, causing Axel to growl low in his throat. Jake froze, adrenaline surging through him. They weren't the only ones hunting. The fractured echoes of the past whispered warnings, and shadows danced just beyond his vision. A figure emerged, a gaunt man with sunken eyes, a stranger whose presence sent a chill down Jake's spine. "You searching for someone?" the man asked, his voice gravelly and edged with something unsettling. Jake's instincts screamed danger, yet the man's gaze flickered to Axel, softening momentarily. It was a fleeting moment where trust and trepidation collided. Jake felt the weight of the stranger's words, but he couldn't afford to be distracted. He responded tersely, probing for information while keeping his eyes peeled for signs of deceit. The man's evasive answers only deepened the mystery, each word a thread weaving a larger tapestry of doubt. Just as Jake was ready to dismiss the man completely, a glint of metal caught his attention, the flash of a pendant hanging around the stranger's neck. It was identical to the one his brother wore, a token of their childhood, now a tether to the truth Jake desperately sought. With a surge of renewed purpose, Jake took a step closer, Axel at his side, instincts honed and alert. "You know something," he said, voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Tell me where he is." The tension thickened, hanging heavy in the air like a storm cloud poised to unleash its fury. The man's expression shifted, a fleeting flicker of recognition passing through his eyes. Jake understood then that this was more than a mere conversation. It was a race not just against time, but against the shadows of the past that loomed ever closer, threatening to swallow them both whole. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the forgotten town of Willow Creek. Jack stood on the weathered porch of the old saloon, its wooden boards creaking beneath his weight. Beside him, his faithful German shepherd Rex sniffed the air, ears perked at every sound. The wind whispered secrets of a bygone era, stirring dust from the cracked earth. Jack's heart raced, a mix of excitement and dread gripping him. He had returned not just to face the remnants of his past, but to uncover the truths buried beneath layers of nostalgia and regret. As he stepped inside, the scent of stale beer mixed with the mustiness of the long-abandoned tavern, setting his nerves on edge. Memories flooded back, haunting him. Laughter of friends, shadows of lost love, the fateful night that changed everything. The bar loomed before him, its surface scarred and dull. A faded photograph hung crookedly on the wall, capturing a moment in time when laughter echoed where silence now reigned. Jack's pulse quickened, a familiar ache lodged in his chest. What had he lost in this place? What had he hidden from himself? Rex padded quietly beside him, sensing the turmoil within. The dog's loyalty offered a fragile comfort as Jack's fingers brushed against the photograph's edge. The faces were familiar, yet distant, like ghosts drifting just out of reach. He focused on one man in particular, his former best friend, a smile frozen in time. Guilt washed over him, thick and suffocating. The past had a way of clawing its way back into the present, and Jack had buried too many truths in the dirt of Willow Creek, secrets that begged to be unearthed. A sudden noise startled him. The grating sound of metal scraping against wood echoed through the empty saloon. Jack's instincts sharpened instantly, adrenaline spiking as Rex growled low, his powerful frame tensing. Heart pounding, Jack turned toward the source of the sound. Was he truly alone? The air grew thick with tension, and shadows seemed to flit at the edges of his vision. Somewhere in the dark, a truth lingered, waiting to be revealed. Little did he know, dangerous memories were about to resurface, and not all of them were his to uncover. As the creaking came again, Jack steadied his breath, preparing to confront whatever lay hidden in the depths of this forsaken place. Rex's low growl escalated into a fierce bark, a clear warning that danger was near. Jack's mind raced, piecing together fragments of the past. What had he left behind? Trusting Rex's instincts, he moved toward the sound, ready to face the shadows and the unresolved chaos of his life. The hidden past was clawing at the edges of his reality, and he could no longer turn away. The truth awaited, tangled in the dust of Willow Creek. The sun dipped below the jagged peaks, casting long shadows across the valley, transforming the landscape into a tapestry of dusk. Jack's breath fogged the crisp air as he stepped forward, each crunch of gravel echoing his unease. The fur of his German shepherd, Max, bristled beside him, sensing the tension that hung heavy like storm clouds. They had come seeking answers, driven by whispers of a lost soul rumored to haunt these forgotten woods. Every twitch of a branch, every rustle of leaves seemed to suggest something was lurking just beyond the edge of the fading light. Jack's heart raced as he recalled the locals' tales of the ghostly figure that roamed the trails at twilight, searching for something long gone. He glanced at Max, whose eyes shone with an intelligence that spoke of loyalty and bravery. The dog sniffed the air, ears perked, attuned to a world Jack could only imagine. Silence enveloped them, broken only by the distant howl of the wind, filling the space with an eerie anticipation. Beneath the surface of his bravado, doubt clawed at Jack's resolve, but the mystery whispered promises of closure, of freedom from the chains of his past. As they ventured deeper, Jack's mind wandered to the losses that had brought him to this desolate place. The regrets, like ghosts, haunted him, and he clung to the hope of finding redemption in this confrontation. Memories of his brother's laughter intertwined with images of tragedy, each step pulling him closer to the truth and further from the man he once was. He felt Max's warm presence, a grounding force in a world where shadows danced and uncertainty loomed. They were in this together, bound by loyalty and a shared quest for answers, a duo against the encroaching darkness. A flicker of movement caught Jack's eye, a fleeting silhouette at the edge of the tree line. Heart pounding, he instinctively dropped into a crouch, signaling Max to be silent. The dog remained still, muscles coiled like springs, ready to leap into action. The figure, cloaked in twilight, turned momentarily, revealing a glimpse of a tired face stained with sorrow and longing. Jack's breath hitched in his throat. Could this be the spirit that had drawn him here? The air crackled with energy as he weighed the decision to approach, to confront what had been lost. With a determined nod, Jack rose to his feet, instinctively placing a hand on Max's back for reassurance. The distance between him and the figure felt insurmountable, yet every impulse urged him forward. Each step was a battle against fear, a testament to his longing to uncover the truth. As they closed the gap, the outline of a familiar coat emerged, the contours of a lost loved one etched into the fading light. In that moment, Jack realized that confronting the unknown was not just about the spectre before him. It was a journey into the depths of his heart, where pain and hope intertwined like the roots of the ancient trees surrounding them. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the sprawling fields, now a patchwork of gold and brown. With each passing day, the land had grown more stubborn, the earth cracking beneath the unforgiving drought. Jacob shifted his worn straw hat, wiping the sweat from his brow, his loyal German shepherd Rex, watching him with unwavering loyalty. Together they surveyed the desolate rows of crops, their potential shriveled and withering. Yet amidst the encroaching despair, a fierce determination flickered in Jacob's chest, a stubborn ember that refused to be extinguished. As he knelt in the dirt, fingers tracing the parched soil, memories of his father's stories surged forth, tales of resilience, of storms weathered, and the land flourishing in the face of adversity. Each whisper of wind seemed to carry his father's voice, urging him to rise above the trials. The weight of tradition pressed heavily upon his shoulders, igniting a sense of duty that pushed him forward. Rex stood by his side, sensing the turmoil within, offering a soft nudge with his nose, grounding Jacob as he wrestled with fears of failure. That evening, as darkness settled like a heavy blanket, Jacob sat on the porch, his heart a tumult of hope and doubt. The night was eerily still, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves and Rex's low, questioning whine. In the distance, the faint glow of a lantern flickered, a neighbor's beacon of resilience. Jacob felt the stirrings of camaraderie, a reminder that he was not alone in this battle. He imagined shared stories of stubbornness and grit, and a flicker of hope ignited within him, urging him to keep pushing, to strive for a future brighter than the bleak present. As rain clouds gathered ominously above, Jacob knew the impending storm could offer salvation or destruction. The scent of impending rain mingled with the dry earth, creating a tension thick enough to cut. He climbed down from the porch, Rex at his heels, both men and dog drawn toward the horizon. They stood together, hearts thundering in sync with the low growl of thunder. It was a moment when courage and fear intertwined, a fragile balance maintained by a resolve that demanded action, not despair. Jacob felt the storm calling, inviting him to embrace the unknown. In those darkening clouds, Jacob recognized not just the terrifying potential of ruin, but also the promise of renewal. He took a deep breath, savoring the mingling scents of earth and rain, ready for whatever fate awaited. With Rex by his side, he could face the storm with clarity in his heart and fire in his soul. There was no room for surrender. The farmer's blood sang a ballad of resilience. As they moved forward, the air crackled with possibility, each step a testament to the unyielding spirit that thrived within him, ready to confront whatever storm lay ahead. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the rugged terrain. Jake knelt by the stream, his hands plunged into the cool water, trying to shake off the weariness that clung to him like a second skin. Rex, his loyal German shepherd, stood alert by his side, ears perked as they scanned the dense thicket beyond the water. The silence was palpable, broken only by the soft trickle of the stream. Something felt off. A tension hung in the air, and Jake's gut churned as he sensed that this was no ordinary evening in the wild. As the light faded, Jake turned his gaze toward the tree line, where a figure emerged, stumbling and disheveled. It was Tom, his old friend, now a shadow of the man he once was, his clothes torn and stained. Panic surged within Jake. He had not seen Tom in years, their paths diverging after the harsh winter that shattered the fragile bonds of their youth. The glimmer of recognition in Tom's eyes was fleeting, replaced by fear. Jake instinctively stepped forward, Rex growling softly, sensing the unease that enveloped them like a storm cloud. "What happened to you?" Jake's voice was steady, but inside a tempest swirled. Tom's gaze flickered, darting around as if the trees themselves were listening. "They're coming for me," he muttered, breathless and wide-eyed. Each word hung heavy in the air, laden with unsaid fears. Jake's heart raced. He remembered the rumors that had swirled around town, talk of men vanishing without a trace, swallowed by the harsh wilderness. A nagging worry twisted in his mind. Was Tom caught in something darker than mere survival? Rex nudged Jake's hand, grounding him in the moment. The dog's loyalty bolstered his resolve as he stepped closer to Tom, who trembled, caught between desperation and trust. "You have to trust me, Tom. I won't let anything happen to you," he urged, his voice a calm anchor in the storm of dread swirling around them. Tom took a shaky breath, the fight beginning to drain from his eyes. In that moment, a bond ignited anew, a tether forged in shared history, tempered by the trials of the wilderness. As night swallowed the last remnants of sunlight, Jake led Tom back toward the camp, careful to keep the shadows in their periphery at bay. Each rustle of leaves, each snap of twigs, stirred a sense of urgency within him. Rex stayed vigilant, every instinct honed as they navigated the darkness together. Jake's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of Tom's tale, a man haunted by some unknown threat. Whatever pursued him was close, and in this unforgiving wilderness, a friend in need became a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. The sun dipped low behind the jagged peaks, casting long shadows over the desolate valley where Jonah stood, his heart pounding like a war drum. Beside him, Rex, his loyal German shepherd, sensed the tension, ears perked and nostrils flaring as they surveyed the abandoned homestead. The wooden structure creaked in the wind, an echo of lives once vibrant, but now silenced by time and tragedy. Jonah wiped the sweat from his brow, his mind racing with the mysteries hidden behind those walls. What had transpired here, and why had the townsfolk whispered about this place with such fear? As Jonah stepped closer, the door hung slightly ajar, revealing a darkened interior that smelled of decay and regret. A flicker of movement caught Rex's attention, and he growled softly, the sound reverberating like a warning. Jonah's pulse quickened. He pushed the door open wider, revealing remnants of a life once lived. Faded photographs, dusty furniture, and a rusted rifle propped against the wall. Each detail seemed to pulse with unanswered questions, drawing him deeper into the web of secrets that lay before him. He could almost hear the echoes of laughter and sorrow that once filled this place, now only a haunting void. As Jonah crossed the threshold, uncertainty clawed at him. What if he uncovered truths that were better left buried? He could almost hear the townsfolk's voices ring in his ears, cautioning against the pursuit of knowledge that could bring anguish. Rex nudged him gently, a reminder that he was not alone, that he had a partner in this reckoning. Jonah took a deep breath, steeling himself against the fear that threatened to root him to the floor. He couldn't turn back now. He needed to understand the past, to confront the ghosts that lingered in the corners of the homestead. With each step further into the house, Jonah felt the weight of a presence watching. Shadows danced in the corners of his vision, and he instinctively tightened his grip on the flashlight, the beam cutting through the gloom like a knife through fog. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end as he stumbled upon a hidden trap-door beneath a threadbare rug. Heart racing, he knelt down, brushing away years of dust and debris. The latch creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness, the air heavy with the scent of earth and despair. What lay below? His resolve hardened. There was no backing away now. The descent felt eternal, the narrow passage twisting and winding like the doubts in his own mind. At the bottom, he emerged into a small, dank room lined with jars and papers, each one a piece of a puzzle that had long eluded him. A diary lay open on a rickety table, the ink smudged but legible. Jonah's eyes widened as he read the hurried scrawl detailing fear, betrayal, and a haunting promise made in the dead of night. Each word sunk into his chest, igniting a spark of clarity amid the chaos. He had come seeking answers, but now he wondered if the truth would prove a heavy burden to bear. As Rex stood guard, sensing the shift in their world, Jonah prepared for the revelations that would change everything. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the rocky expanse of the frontier. Jacob trudged along the trail, his trusty German shepherd Rex at his side, sensing the tension that hung in the air like a thick mist. The once vibrant landscape now felt desolate, each boulder and twisted tree a reminder of his solitude. As a traveling man, the weight of his isolation pressed heavily, gnawing at him, while memories of laughter and camaraderie slipped through his fingers. The world around him was vast, yet he felt like a speck of dust in a barren wilderness. A rustle in the underbrush jolted him from his reverie, and both he and Rex froze, ears pricked. The shadows stretched and danced, shifting in a way that made his heart quicken. He scanned the trees, every crackle an echo of his unvoiced fears. In this wild expanse, the unthinkable could lurk just beyond sight. Yet it was not the threat of the unknown that haunted him, it was the thought of facing such dangers alone. Each step forward felt like a step deeper into an abyss, one that echoed with the laughter of friends long gone. Nights were the hardest, when the campfire flickered like a heartbeat against the oppressive stillness. Jacob stared into the flames, their warmth a stark contrast to the chill gnawing at his soul. Rex lay beside him, his breath steady and reassuring, but even the loyal dog couldn't fill the gaping void. Memories of shared meals and starry skies with his brothers in arms haunted him, each recollection a fragile thread that tethered him to a life once rich with connection. A small sigh escaped his lips as he pondered if he would ever find that sense of belonging again. The following day, as they moved deeper into the forest, the air crackled with the promise of change. A distant sound, a thundering herd, shook the ground beneath his feet, reverberating through his bones. Jacob's heart raced with the thrill of a chance encounter, of maybe finding others like him, driven by purpose and longing. The rustle of hooves drew nearer, and as he crested a rise, he caught sight of a group gathering for a cattle drive. Their shouts and laughter echoed in the valley, a melody he hadn't realized he craved until that moment. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, Rex at his side, ready to bridge the gap between past and present. The men turned, their faces a mixture of surprise and curiosity, and in that instant, Jacob felt a spark of hope ignite within him. He was no longer just a solitary figure wandering the wilderness. He was a man seeking connection, anchored by the unshakable bond he shared with his dog. The landscape, once a canvas of isolation, transformed into a vibrant tapestry of possibility, rich with the promise of belonging. The moon hung low over the desolate landscape, casting eerie shadows through the skeletal branches of the gnarled trees. Thomas's heart raced as he knelt beside his loyal German shepherd, Rex, who sensed the tension in the air. The wind howled, carrying whispers of the past, a life snatched away too soon. With every rustle in the bushes, Thomas felt the weight of unresolved grief pressing down like a leaden cloak. He squinted into the darkness, searching for the familiar silhouette that had haunted his dreams. Tonight, it would all come to a head, and he would face the specter of his loss. As they moved deeper into the woods, the shadows grew darker, the fear palpable. Each footstep echoed like thunder in Thomas's chest, a silent countdown to the confrontation that awaited him. Rex stayed close, his fur bristling, eyes narrowed with vigilant focus. Thomas's mind raced with memories of laughter, warmth and love, juxtaposed against the cold reality of betrayal and vengeance. A flicker of movement caught his attention. Was it just the night playing tricks, or was his adversary drawing near? He tightened his grip on the lantern, its flickering flame reflecting the tumult within. The forest opened up to a clearing where the moonlight pooled like silver. In that moment, it felt as if time itself had paused, suspended in the electric air. Thomas could feel Rex's breath beside him, steady and reassuring, grounding him as he faced the man who had shattered his world. Across the clearing, shadows shifted, revealing the figure that had driven him to this brink. Anger surged within him, hot and raw, but beneath it lay an aching sorrow, the remnants of a bond once strong and unbreakable. Thomas clenched his fists, ready to reclaim his destiny. Words hung heavy between them, each syllable laced with the bitter taste of betrayal. "You took everything from me," Thomas spat, the rage boiling over like an erupting volcano. The man's eyes glinted with a twisted sense of satisfaction, a smirk curling at the corners of his lips. Rex growled, a low, menacing sound that reverberated through the clearing. Thomas felt the raw power of his dog beside him, a living emblem of loyalty and strength. He drew a deep breath, feeling the pulse of fear intertwine with determination. This confrontation would not simply be about revenge, it was a battle for closure. With a sudden movement, the shadows erupted into chaos as fists flew and desperation took hold. Thomas fought not just for himself, but for every moment lost, every memory tarnished by betrayal. Rex darted in, a blur of fur and teeth, protecting his master with fierce loyalty. The clash of flesh echoed amidst the trees, primal and unrestrained. As Thomas grappled with his opponent, time blurred, each second stretching into an eternity. In this final stand, he wasn't just fighting a man. He was wrestling with his own demons, forging a path through the darkness toward the light of redemption. The morning sun broke through the dense canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. As Thomas trudged along the familiar trail, the weight of his loss pressed heavily against his chest. The crunch of leaves underfoot mirrored the cracking ache in his heart. At his side, Rex padded silently, a loyal sentinel against the creeping melancholy. The dog's watchful eyes scanned the woods, sensing the turmoil that gnawed at Thomas. Each step felt like a confrontation with ghosts of the past, memories of laughter that now echoed like distant thunder amid rain clouds. A rustle in the underbrush caught his attention, slicing through his reverie. Thomas froze, heart racing as he turned to Rex, who remained still, ears perked. The world around them held its breath, the air thick with anticipation. Was it a deer, or something more sinister? The uncertainty mirrored his own feelings, lost in the fog of grief, unsure if he would ever find his way back. A flicker of movement sent Rex bounding forward, primal instincts igniting. Thomas shouted, but the sudden jolt of action pulled him from his thoughts, leaving behind the haunting specters of what he'd lost. As Rex chased after the unseen creature, Thomas stood alone, grappling with the silence that followed. He could almost hear her laughter, bright and clear, mingling with the rustle of the leaves. Closing his eyes, he felt a warmth envelop him, a bittersweet comfort that hinted at healing. The wilderness had a way of reflecting his inner turmoil, yet also offering solace among the trees. Each whisper of wind seemed to be a reminder that life continued, even when it felt unbearable. Thomas took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment, allowing the pain to mingle with the beauty around him. When Rex returned, panting and victorious, Thomas knelt to meet him. The dog's wet nose pressed against his hand, a tether to reality, grounding him in the present. Thomas stroked Rex's fur, feeling the pulse of life beneath his fingertips. In that simple gesture, he sensed the unspoken bond they shared, a communion woven from shared experiences and loss. Together, they were navigating the aftermath, each step a testament to survival. A flicker of hope ignited within him as he realized that healing was not a destination, but a journey, one taken in the company of a true friend. As they continued onward, the path opened up into a clearing, revealing a hidden garden of wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. A rush of color amidst the green struck him like a thunderclap of realization. Beauty persisted despite loss. It was a cycle of life that could not be broken. Thomas knelt, fingers brushing the petals, and for the first time in months he felt a spark of joy mingling with his sorrow. The wilderness was a canvas of emotions, each brushstroke painted with pain and hope, a reminder that healing often lay just beyond the horizon, waiting to be embraced. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the rugged expanse of the frontier. Jake stood at the edge of the ridge, the terrain stretching before him like a tapestry of both promise and peril. Beside him, Rex, his loyal German shepherd, sniffed the air, alert for unseen threats. Memories swirled in Jake's mind, faded photographs of a life left behind, the echoes of laughter now silent. Each breath of the crisp evening air felt like an invitation, a whisper urging him to let go of the past and embrace what lay ahead. Shadows danced across the valley as twilight settled in, the earthy scent of pine mingling with the cool breeze. Jake tightened his grip on the frayed leather strap of his pack, a lifeline to the man he once was. He could feel the weight of unspoken regrets tightening around his chest, but Rex nudged him gently, a warm presence that reminded him he wasn't alone. Together, they had traversed countless miles, each step marked by hardship, yet there was a flicker of hope igniting within him, a spark that hinted at a fresh start waiting just beyond the distant hill. As darkness enveloped the landscape, the sounds of the night emerged, crickets chirping, the rustle of leaves, and a distant howl from the wolves. Jake's heart raced, not from fear but anticipation. He recalled the words of an old prospector he once met. The frontier doesn't just test your grit, it reveals your spirit. He felt the truth of that statement resonate within him now, igniting a determination to forge a new identity in this wild and untamed land. Each heartbeat echoed his resolve, urging him to rise from the ashes of his former life, stronger and more resilient than before. With Rex at his side, Jake descended the ridge, the sturdy ground shifting beneath their feet. Each rustle in the underbrush made him pause, scanning for danger, but it also urged him forward into the unknown. He could almost taste the thrill of discovery, new horizons, new beginnings, and perhaps the chance for redemption. Yet beneath that excitement lay the haunting ideas of what he had lost. Past mistakes lingered like shadows, but for every regret, he was determined to write a new chapter, fueled by the fierce loyalty of his canine companion. The night deepened around him as they reached the base of the hill, the stars emerging like scattered jewels against the black velvet sky. Jake looked down into the valley, spotting a flicker of light from a distant cabin, a beacon of hope amid the vast wilderness. He felt a swell of emotion as he realized this could be a place to rebuild, to dream again. Rex barked softly, sensing Jake's resolve, and together they took a tentative step forward. In that moment, beneath the endless sky, Jake felt the stirrings of possibility, a chance to bring forth something beautiful from the ashes of despair. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the makeshift chicken coop, the farmer stood side by side with his loyal German shepherd, Max. The journey had been filled with uncertainty, each nail driven into the wood echoing the doubts that once plagued him. Yet, as he watched Max gently nudging the empty nest, a profound understanding settled in his heart. What began as a ruin had transformed into a sanctuary of hope. In that seemingly lifeless structure, they had unearthed hidden treasures, community, resilience, and the unwavering bond between man and dog. The coop now brimmed not only with the promise of new life, but also with the love that flourished in the face of adversity. The secrets of the past had woven a tapestry of connection, reminding him that every broken thing carries the potential for beauty. As they turned to head home, the farmer felt a renewed sense of purpose. Home was no longer just a physical space, it was where memories were cherished, where the heart found solace. In the embrace of friendship and love, he realized that truth, much like a nest, is often found in the most unexpected of places, waiting to be nurtured into something extraordinary.